indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So he said to pledge allegiance to the flag, which is pretty good considering that's an Admiralty flag and not a U.S. flag.
Council President is Steve McCoy. Steve McCoy, Councilor McCoy, do you have a motion for us this evening?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. I move the additions and deletions to the agenda. Additions and deletions consist of one, addition of item 1.1B, which is receiving Councilor Benjamin's letter of resignation and declaring the position for Ward 6 vacant. Number two, reordering the agenda to move approval of the additions and deletions to after opening exercises. Three, moving public comment, item 2, to item 1.1C. And 4, revising item 3.3C to add the names of Brandon Smith and Drew Wright to the list of candidates that the City Council will interview for positions, open positions on the planning position.
Second.
She's looking for a gavel.
I was looking for my glasses. Was there a second to the motion? Yes. All right, thank you. This is a little different setup. We'll get used to it in a minute here. All right, it's been moved by Councilor McCoy and seconded by Councilor seconded by Councilor Bednarz to accept the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Our first item on the agenda is 1.1A. Councilor McCoy, do you have a motion for us?
I do, Madam Mayor. We move to publicly censure Councilor Daniel Benjamin for conduct inappropriate to the dignity of the office of the Salem City Council.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Councilor McCoy and seconded by several councilors. Councilor Bednarz, Councilor Dickey, Councilor Lewis, thank you. Councilor Anderson, Councilor, I can't see way down at the end. Oh, thank you, Councilor Bennett, and myself. Thank you. The motion passes. We want discussion. We want public comment, yes. We want discussion on that motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll go first.
All right, will you? Okay.
This is an important statement, we think, for the City Council to make because we live in a very diverse city with all people from all places, immigrants, all different races here, and as representatives of that, elected representatives of that diverse citizenship, we all feel strongly that we represent every person in the city, and certainly in our wards, and by making this censure of Council Benjamin's ill-advised post, we are taking the position and making it clear to everybody in the community, in the state, in the city, in the state, and I guess in the nation now, with the way the news has traveled, that we're not going to put up with that stuff. It's inappropriate for any member of this body to be involved in anything that remotely reaches the level that this posting did. And so for that reason, we are censoring Councilor Benjamin.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Do I see hands? Further discussion, Councilor Bednarz?
I originally thought in censuring it was to ask somebody not to speak, but what I find is that it's an express of our severe disapproval of someone or something, typically on a formal basis, and that's what I think this council has to do at this point, is come back and say this is egregious, we don't agree with it, and this is our expression at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson?
I received approximately 130 emails from people in Salem. All of them were from people in Salem, and all of them expressed their disgust and the fact that they were appalled by the posting comments. I went online and reviewed the actual post, and then I also reviewed other posts. And the post that was the subject of the original complaints was not an isolated incident. There were many, many other incidents of postings which were completely inappropriate for, at least in my view, anyone to post, much less someone who was in the position of a city councilor whose job and duty is to represent all citizens. I find that this is a reprehensible act. It has no place in America and no place in Salem, so a motion to censure is the least we can do in this situation, and it's extremely called for. No matter who the person, it's the post, both the posts of the city council and the city councilor and the posts that were posted on the Facebook pages that are personally appalling to me and should be appalling and reprehensible to everyone in this room and everyone in this community. So that's why I will be supporting wholeheartedly the motion to censure.
Thank you. Councilor Dickey.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo the sentiments that have already been said, and I just want to call attention to the scarf I am wearing tonight. It has symbols from people around our global community and the work that they have done to bring civil and human rights to their community, and I think we deserve no less here in our community as well. I also saw the post, was just shocked, horrified by what I saw. That is in no way representative of the values that this council has gone on to support through many, many of our efforts. It certainly doesn't represent anything in my view, and as we're hearing tonight from the other council members as well who have spoken up already. So I feel like this is an opportunity for the council to state its values. So it's as much of an opportunity to do that as anything else. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to so many people here tonight who have come and see how much you care about your community and how much you value what we all value as well. Thank you.
Councilor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I along with my fellow councilors, was really disturbed by the images that were posted. But I think one of the things that's happened is we've hit a point at times of such heightened political discourse, such heightened language, such heightened images, we start having trouble understanding where those limits are. Well, we're telling you right now there's a bright line in Salem, Oregon, and this is that line. And it may be more difficult than people think to cross that line in Salem, Oregon. Daniel Benjamin doesn't. He will be leaving our city council for crossing that line. So thank you all who contacted us. Thank all of you who sat out there and prayed for us as we tried to contemplate the best action, and congratulate you on being here this evening. Thank you.
Councilor Lewis.
Okay, I have a little different perspective, and don't mistake the shakiness in my voice to be a lack of conviction in my heart. But I had just toured the 9/11 museum when I got back to the hotel last Tuesday and saw the video that had been posted on Councilor Benjamin's site. My first perception was that I was offended personally, and that has no place, whether it's this city or any city. It's not acceptable. I was ashamed for not only Councilor Benjamin, but for the entire city council. That is not who we are. And I hope that the people in this audience know that it is not acceptable, and it will not be acceptable.
Councilor Nanki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've not seen the video. that was posted. I did a search trying to tag the speaker that was quoted having some remarks on it. I saw several others, but I don't think I actually managed to find the one in question. That being said, the pieces I saw, it's not acceptable to run people over, no matter who they are. I don't know what Councilor Benjamin's intent was when he clicked a button. I know he's very unsophisticated in use of social media. That being said, I heard of other comments that have been made through his social media presence that I found objectionable as well, and would never friend him on social media. Do I think Daniel Benjamin's a racist? No. In San Diego last year, African-American homeless gentleman walked up to us and asked if we could spare any change. Without hesitation, Daniel pulled his wallet out and gave the man a $10 bill. His family is also multi-racial. That being said, people were watching him, also I think because he was unsophisticated. Found a post that was objectionable and pushed it very hard. Threats of picketing his employer. I talked to him on Monday night and asked him what he was going to do. He said, if I lose my job, I have to resign from council. And on Wednesday, he was actually let go from his employer. I don't wish that on anyone. That being said, his actions forced other reactions throughout the community, and I've been debating on how I wanted to move on this first motion because essentially we encouraged him to resign and he took us up on that. To me, that's saying sure enough to have an entire council with a motion on the floor ask for your resignation. I will support the motion. I'm not happy about it. That the entirety of it occurred. One, that he pushed a button. If he would have said on that button, somebody needs to figure out how to stop this, we would be here tonight with this. I don't know his intention, but I know the results of the action, and hence I support the motion.
Thank you. I would like to speak to the motion. I am in support of the motion. I'll be voting yes for several reasons. Just a few weeks ago, I became very concerned for our community in light of the national election and the tone and tenor of discussions across the nation. I began to wonder how people of color were feeling in my community. I wondered how immigrants were feeling. I wondered how other people who had been maligned during some of those national discussions were feeling in our own community. And I was concerned because we do hold standards for the protection of civil rights, the protection of all people in this community. So I made a statement to that effect at a city council meeting. And a few days later, several of us gathered together because I did call our leaders of the NAACP to meet with me to let me know what they were hearing and what their observances were. And I also had talked with others who were members of our Mayor's International Council, and I was concerned what I was hearing back. So we gathered, we made a video to again express that the City of Salem and the City Council will protect the civil rights of everyone here, and we will protect the people in Salem, our residents, and that we will not tolerate discrimination. I even said, we're known as a community where 57 different languages are spoken in our homes of the children in our school district. We welcome every one of those languages except one. We don't welcome the language of hate. And we also don't welcome the actions of violence. When I was shown the video that Councillor Benjamin had posted on his Facebook, along with the comment by a person who had put that montage of, I think, 4 or 5 different incidences, maybe as many as 6, onto his website, onto his Facebook, I was physically sickened and shaken. And I knew that we needed to speak out. And so tonight I join in this censure because his actions were unbefitting an elected official, and his actions put our city council and our city in a bad light in case someone would think that any of us would be supporting that type of Facebook post and that type of thought and behavior against anyone in our community. So I strongly support this motion because in my mind, it's a censure not against an individual, which of course it is, but beyond that, it's a censure against a behavior that we hope we'll never have to deal with again in our community. Certainly, anyone who aspires to office on the city council should know that this council does not tolerate that type of behavior. So I do support the motion. Are there any other comments from councilors? All right, we'll call for the question. The motion on the floor. Councillor McCoy, could you please repeat your motion?
Sure, I read it the way I had it. That's right. Okay. We move to publicly censure Councilor Daniel Benjamin for conduct inappropriate to the dignity of the office of the Salem City Council.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Was that a unanimous? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Councilor McCoy, I believe you have another motion.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I move the City Council accept the resignation of Councilor Benjamin and declare the position for Ward 6 vacant.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilor McCoy and seconded by Councilor Lewis, Councilor Bednarz, Councilor Dickey, Councilor Bennett, Councilor Anderson, Councilor Mankey, and myself, unanimously in support of this motion. We'll take a formal vote. Oh, you want to do the
Just a
discussion?
little explanation.
Okay.
A resignation for a city councilor does not become effective until the resignation is accepted and the position is declared vacant by the council. This is in section 19 of the city charter that provides that the office of a member of the council becomes vacant upon declaration by the council of the vacancy in case of the incumbent's resignation from the office. So we are now making it official.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson.
I said most of what I wanted to say on the original motion, but there are 3 matters I would like to say now. The first one is, if those of you who were here looked at the agenda on the motion, not this one right now, of course, but the one we originally made for censure, you will see that part of that motion originally was a call for Councilor Benjamin to resign. And that's made moot. It's obviated by the fact that he resigned before we could even make the motion. So that's why the motion was purely to censure him. The second thing I'd like to say is, at least in my view, intent is not important. And I'm speaking like a lawyer now, and there are some crimes that are crimes of intent, and other crimes that are crimes of the action itself. And in this case, the action itself is what is reprehensible. And I am firmly convinced from reviewing the other Facebook posts that this is not an isolated incident. It's part of the continuing pattern, and that deserves censure. And finally, I'm gratified to all those people who have spoken to me and emailed me, and I tried to reply to each one of you, but I'm really gratified to see all of you here tonight. And it's important because this is not just the action of the Salem City Council, it is the action of the people of Salem. So in the public comment, I encourage you all to stand up and say your piece and let the rest of the city, the state, and the nation know that this is not something that we as people of Salem will stand for and put up with. Thank you.
Were there any comments? All right,
Madam Mayor, if I may
Yes.
just quickly,
thank you.
with this resignation, we kind of finalized a chapter. That chapter is just beginning for former Councilor Benjamin. After this motion takes place, whether one can empathize with him or not, I would encourage you first. He's got a very tough life ahead of him, which very well may not be in the city of Salem. And it's going to be very tough for not only him but his family as well. He's got 2 kids and a wife, and no necessary means to support them at this point in time. So, there's your question.
All right, I think we're ready. Oh, Councilor Benars.
We live in a democracy.
And we have just now lost one of our 9 representatives of this community, or will have in a few minutes. My question is probably for the city manager to say, so what do we go to from here? What's our next step relative to the city council?
Dan Atchison, city attorney. So essentially, once the position is declared vacant, the council will set a date for a special election to appoint a new councilor. That's pursuant to the city charter. The next available date is March 14th, 2017. Next Monday on the 5th, there'll be a report on your agenda asking you to set that date. There's also a May date. The charter requires it to go to the next available election, and I believe based on timelines that we can meet the March deadline.
All right, I think we're ready for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We will now begin public comment. And if some of you have watched the city council in the past, you'll know that sometimes I'm rather challenged to read handwriting and decipher names and signatures, so I will do my very best. I'm going to, and we have microphones set up on both sides. It doesn't matter which one you choose to go to. And I will begin, I'll call a couple of names at a time so people can sort of get ready. First speaker is Reginald Hendricks, followed by Levy Lopez. Levy Herrera Lopez.
Good evening, I'm Brett Hendricks. I'm a resident of Ward 4 here in the city of Salem, Oregon. And what that means is that I live here. We're in essence neighbors. I speak to you as a neighbor and as a resident of Salem. Tonight I'm also representing the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP Salem Kaiser Unit 1166. Now, many people here are a member of our organization. Some people have a preconceived notion of what the NAAC stands for, so before you overlay any notion onto us, please let me inform you directly as to what we do stand for. The NAACP is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons, and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. Period. That's what we stand for. All would include everyone on the council and everyone behind me and throughout the country. The NAACP has worked in collaboration with many of the organizations represented here tonight to address bigotry and making it clear that it is not welcome in our neighborhood, in our city, or anywhere else. The NAACP would like to acknowledge the Mayor Ann Peterson and Salem City Councilman Tom Anderson for their immediate denunciation of Councilmember Daniel Benjamin regarding the inappropriate furthering of hate speech. However, our work does continue. We formally requested the Salem City Council member Daniel Benjamin take full responsibility for his actions and step down from the Salem City Council. We formally requested the City of Salem Council take the appropriate actions to ensure that these types of attitudes towards the citizens of Salem are not condoned, tolerated, or accepted in any of its many forms throughout the ranks of the city. We applaud the swift response of the City of Salem regarding the council member and his indiscretions, and we are now requesting the leadership within our Salem Police and Marion County Sheriff Department to use the City of Salem as a model regarding its department members who have been reported as having participated bullying tactics on social media. For clarity, I'm discussing the publicly reported online actions of an officer of the Salem Police Department and the deputy of the Marion County Sheriff's Department concerning the bullying of a citizen as reported by KATV News reporter Joe Douglas. Simply put, we do not want our leaders to idly stand by when members of law enforcement are participating in bullying activities or creating an atmosphere of terror by using the internet. This is unacceptable. Our children learn acceptance and tolerance from seeing how we respond to it. It begins at the early stages of grade school and continues until they become our neighbors. To our communities, we have the power to continue to progress on human rights. To do nothing is to have the progress reversed. We appreciate your attention to these matters, for volunteering to lead our community towards more open and accepting neighborhood. We are the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP Unit 1166, Salem Kaiser. We are open and welcome the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.